On past trips to Sedona, we always decided to explore by foot, so we decided to mix things up a little bit on our last trip and book ourselves a ticket on the world famous Pink Jeep tour. Chances are, if you've been to Sedona, you've seen the Pink Jeep. Not only are they hard to miss because they're a bright pink Jeep, but there is about 98 of the Pink Jeeps in the fleet driving around Sedona at the time of the making of this video. The check-in process was quick and painless, and before I knew it, we were heading to the staging area to meet our driver. You could definitely tell that it wasn't Pink Jeep's first rodeo. They had the staging process down to a science. When we checked in, we received a number, which corresponded with a bench in the staging area. After a short introduction and some funny, cheesy Sedona jokes, we just had to wait for a driver to come down and call our number. This is where we met our driver, Paul. Not only was Paul a funny and super nice guy, but we were soon to find out he knew a thing or two about how to drive a Jeep. After a quick drive through town with some complimentary food recommendations from Paul, we arrived at the Broken Arrow trailhead. We decided on the Broken Arrow tour because not only was it one of their most popular tours, but it's one of the most exciting ones at the Sedona location as well. Almost immediately after we hit the dirt, we had to hop over this pile of boulders, and the tour was officially underway. One thing that I love so much about the Sedona Desert is its unique plant life. Because of its elevation, you have plants that look like they would traditionally belong in the mountains, right alongside plant life that you would expect to see in the desert. At one point, I owned a TJ Wrangler, but it was definitely not modified like the Pink Jeep. I was really impressed by how plush the suspension felt when you had the weight of 7 people into it. Along the route, our new friend Paul gave us what felt like a college semester's worth amount of information about geology and nature facts. He told us all about why the rocks of Sedona are so red and why that has an effect on why the sky here has such a vibrant shade of blue. About 25 minutes into our tour, we approached our first stop, which is Submarine Rock. This spot is a spectacular viewpoint, and when you see this rock a little later in the tour, you'll see where it gets its name from, because it looks like a submarine sticking up above the trees of the forest. As we pulled up to the stop, we were greeted by a small fleet of Pink Jeeps. The Pink Jeep Tour Company has exclusive use of the Broken Arrow Trail, so you won't be competing with all the other tour companies in the area. The top of Submarine Rock features 360-degree views of the surrounding area and a fantastic spot to take a photo. As much as we would have loved to have spent all day there, it was time to get back in the Jeep and hit the trail. The trail up to the second stop saw a lot of elevation gain and a close pass by another Pink Jeep. One thing that's pretty impressive is how all the Jeeps are in communication with each other, so they all know pretty much exactly where the other Jeeps are on the trail. Soon we arrived at the second stop, which is Chicken Point. It's called Chicken Point because there is a super sketchy ledge that the Jeeps used to be able to drive out on, but they don't do it anymore. At least you can still go out and stand on the Chicken Point ledge, and I gotta say, I don't know if I would be brave enough to drive my Jeep out on this point. Chicken Point is the last official stop on the tour, but the fun is far from over. Our favorite part of the tour is still ahead, and it is the more intense off-roading section. We were joined by a second Jeep on this last stretch, and it was pretty cool because not only did we get to go through all the bumps and over the boulders, but we got to watch them do it too. One of the definite highlights of the off-roading section was this large, steep boulder. It slopes down at about a 45-degree angle, which it might not look like much on the video, but it was pretty darn steep. Paul made it through this obstacle with the greatest of ease. His driving skills are definitely impressive. Lots of sections of the trail were super narrow with big scratchy bushes on both sides, and I don't think he brushed up against one of them on the entire trip. One of the last tricky sections that we went through was a long, steep downhill with huge boulders that formed what looked like a staircase. Paul was of course completely unfazed as he slowly crept his way down this pretty sketchy hill. And that pretty much did it for all of the technical parts of the trail. Now we just had a leisurely and only slightly bumpy drive back to town while taking in the beauty that is the Broken Arrow Trail. We would like to send a humongous thank you out to Paul for putting together such a fun and informative tour. And also out to the Pink Jeep Tour Company for putting this experience together. We would definitely love to hop on some more of your tours and explore some other areas. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified when we make new videos. Check us out on Instagram at thatadventurelife_official, and for all the information about the Pink Jeep Tour as well as other awesome things to do in the Sedona area, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.